One of the biggest recent stories inside the Dodgers organization has been Shohei Ohtani's reported suggestion to make a change at closer, with Roki Sasaki and Tanner Scott emerging as the two names mentioned most often. The fact that Ohtani reportedly spoke directly with the coaching staff shows how serious the concerns surrounding Edwin Diaz have become. That is especially true given both his recent inconsistency and the physical issues he has continued to deal with. For a team with World Series ambitions, closer is a role that leaves very little room for prolonged mistakes. One poorly controlled ninth inning can erase everything the team built over the previous 8. According to Fox Sports, Otani reportedly had a private conversation with Dave Roberts. Otani was quoted as expressing his view very clearly. If we're still serious about winning the World Series, we need people who can protect a game all the way to the final out. We can't keep allowing the entire team's work to be wasted like this. It was a particularly notable statement because it reportedly did not simply criticize one individual, but also raise questions about how the Dodgers are handling high-pressure situations late in games. That is also why Sasaki and Scott have been viewed as two possible alternatives worth considering. Shortly after the reported conversation with Otani, Dave Roberts held a meeting with the technical staff and pitching personnel to evaluate the entire situation. The issue was not simply who would become the temporary closer, but also how the Dodgers would redistribute bullpen roles. If Scott is moved into the 9th inning, the Dodgers would need someone else to replace him in the 8th. If the Dodgers want to experiment with Sasaki as a closer, the coaching staff would have to carefully consider his workload, recovery, and ability to adapt to a completely different routine. The decision that followed was reportedly to send Diaz to AAA while he recovered from injury. From a baseball perspective, this could be viewed as a reset rather than simply a punishment. AAA would allow the pitcher to work in a lower pressure environment, adjust his mechanics, regain his release point feel, and rebuild his command. For a closer struggling with consistency, temporarily stepping away from high-pressure safe situations can sometimes make the recovery process more effective. However, the decision would also send a very clear message. The Dodgers cannot continue assigning a role based solely on reputation or contract value if the pitcher's current performance no longer meets the required standard. In a postseason race, roles have to be determined by present ability rather than past accomplishments. That is especially important in the bullpen, where form can change quickly and every appearance can determine the outcome of a game. Ohtani's reported role in the situation is also notable. He is no longer viewed only as a superstar responsible for hitting home runs or contributing on the mound. His willingness to discuss bullpen structure suggests that Ohtani is gaining an increasingly influential voice inside the clubhouse. Still, replacing Diaz would not automatically solve every problem with the pitching staff. If the bullpen still lacks depth, middle relief remains inconsistent, or Roberts continues to struggle with matchup decisions, the new closer could still be forced into unnecessarily difficult situations. A closer is most effective when the pitchers before him can carry the lead intact into the 9th inning. The Dodgers therefore need to identify the most effective overall solutions. Sasaki or Scott could become answers in safe situations, but the coaching staff would still have to manage workload, the command of other relievers, inherited runners, and bullpen deployment based on matchups. Otherwise, changing the 9th inning pitcher would simply amount to replacing the final piece of a system that still has several unstable areas. That is also a problem Dave Roberts has to handle very carefully. Changing closers can have a significant psychological impact inside a clubhouse, especially when the pitcher involved is a veteran like Diaz. Since joining the Dodgers on a 3-year, $69 million contract, Edwin Diaz has carried enormous expectations. The team reportedly brought him in to provide an experienced closer with elite strikeout ability who could handle the late innings of high-pressure games. However, things have reportedly been far more difficult than initially planned. In April, Diaz underwent surgery on his right elbow and was forced to miss more than 3 months. The lengthy absence cost him much of the first part of the season and disrupted his adjustment to a new bullpen. Diaz reportedly did not return until late last month, and since coming back, he has still not rediscovered the consistency the Dodgers expected. In 9 appearances since returning, Diaz reportedly recorded only 2 scoreless outings. That indicates he has yet to regain the stability required for the role and has frequently allowed opponents to create dangerous rallies. For a closer who often has to protect narrow leads, repeatedly allowing runners on base or giving up runs is a major concern. Across his entire time with the Dodgers, Diaz reportedly made 16 appearances with a 2-2 record and 7 saves. However, his ERA stood at 11.85, an extremely high number for any relief pitcher. The situation became even more complicated when, only about 3 weeks after returning, Diaz went back on the injured list because of a neck issue. Although imaging reportedly showed no serious damage, another absence still created additional pressure for the Dodgers during an important part of the season. Diaz's absence forced the coaching staff to restructure the bullpen again, particularly in the 9th inning. The Dodgers had to identify another temporary closer while also adjusting how the remaining relievers would be used. The pitcher considered most likely to take over Diaz's closer role is Tanner Scott. This season, Scott has reportedly been in excellent form, with a 1-3 record, 17 saves, and a 2.32 ERA. His ability to limit runs and remain steady in high-pressure situations makes him the most logical option for important save opportunities. What is notable is that Scott himself reportedly endured a difficult first season after joining the Dodgers. He signed a 4-year, $72 million contract before the previous season, but finished that first year with a 1-4 record, 23 saves, and a 4.74 ERA. Scott even recorded 10 blown saves that season. His 25.2% strikeout rate was the lowest of his major league career, while his 4.6% home run rate was the highest. Those numbers raised major questions at the time about whether the Dodgers could truly trust him in the late innings. However, Scott reportedly changed significantly in his second season with the team. His command became more stable, his ability to generate swings and misses improved, and most importantly, he did a better job limiting mistake pitches that could be driven for home runs. As a result, Scott has become one of the Dodgers' most reliable relief pitchers this season. That resurgence has become even more important amid the criticism surrounding Diaz. Instead of leaving a major hole at closer, the Dodgers still have an experienced option who is pitching well enough to handle the 9th inning. Dave Roberts has reportedly praised the quality of Scott's pitches when he is physically right. He was quoted as saying, "When Scott is going well, his fastball is around 96 to 98 miles per hour, and his slider is very good too." The combination of a high-velocity fastball and a sharp slider allows Scott to attack both left-handed and right-handed hitters. However, Roberts reportedly believes Scott's greatest strength is mental. He was quoted as saying, "His biggest strength is that he doesn't let his emotions take over." That is an especially important quality for a closer because the 9th inning carries enormous pressure, and one small mistake can change the outcome of the game. For the Dodgers, Scott's ability to remain composed in safe situations gives the coaching staff greater confidence. He does not need to completely overpower every hitter, but his ability to maintain consistent mechanics and pitch selection under pressure has tremendous value. Diaz's condition still needs to be monitored, but the fact that his MRI reportedly showed no serious issue is a positive sign. The Dodgers can take a cautious approach and allow him to rest completely until his neck recovers rather than trying to accelerate the process. In the meantime, Scott will likely continue handling the most important late-game situations. If he can maintain his low ERA and continue controlling innings the way he has, the Dodgers will have more time to let Diaz recover without feeling excessive pressure at the closer position. For a team heading toward the postseason, stability in the 9th inning can be extremely important. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with the biggest MLB fan you know.